Hello, welcome to European Open briefing for August Thursday the 9th. I'm Rafi Boyajan, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be taking a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. So it's another day of mixed market sentiment. The dollar, though, has started to move higher again following some weakness over the past couple of days. It did earlier hit a 2-week low against the yen. It's now risen back above the 111 level. If you have a look at what's happening in Asian equity markets, we can see there's another strong rebound in Chinese stocks. The CSI 300 closing up by more than 2.5%. So Chinese stocks were boosted on hopes that the Chinese government will provide further support for the local economy, and there have been some reports that they may provide some aid to the technology sector as well. So this has mostly lifted other Asian indices as well, though we can see that in Europe there's most major indices are in the red. We also saw the Dow Jones and S&P also closing lower yesterday. If you look at now European currencies, both the euro and the pound are down again against the US dollar. We had seen the euro rising above the 1.16 level earlier today. Both have come under pressure at the start of European trading, with sterling falling to fresh 11 months lows. The Aussie also has given up earlier gains that it saw during Asian trading. It's now moving lower by 0.2% against the greenback, and the kiwi, we can see there, down by more than 1.3% against the greenback. It did hit a near 2.5-year low of 0.6650 on the back of an unexpectedly dovish RBNZ following the central bank's policy decision earlier today. If you have a look at the loonie, it's not doing too badly. There are some reports that Canada will soon rejoin the NAFTA talks, because we had seen in recent weeks that talks had been focused mainly between the US and Mexico. So this does raise hopes that we could potentially see a deal nearing for the NAFTA renegotiation. The loonie yesterday had fallen to 2-week lows on the back of those tensions between Saudi Arabia and Canada. Now we're seeing the loonie head higher again. At the moment, though, it's flat compared to yesterday's close, trading around 1.3022. Oil prices are down. They come under pressure after China retaliated to the US's 16 billion tariffs with similar sized tariffs against US products, and those US products include oil-related products such as diesel and gasoline, though it does exclude crude oil. Nevertheless, we do see those trade tensions hurting oil prices this morning. Gold is also lower as the dollar starts to rebound a little bit from its recent lows. If you have a look at the main movers, we can see clearly the kiwi is the worst performer there, followed by oil prices, and the dollar index is making broad gains against its major peers. Taking a closer look at now the dollar-yen pair, it had earlier recovered above the 111 level, and the dollar index is steady around the 95 level, having slipped below 95 over the past day. The yen is though seeing broad support. There's caution ahead of expected talks between Japanese and US officials in Washington, where they will be discussing trade. So this is the first bilateral trade or direct trade talks between the US and Japan. So the US is calling for Japan to for the two countries to strike a bilateral trade agreement, but Japan would prefer the US to join TPP, which the US pulled out of soon after President Trump came into power. The US is also threatening tariffs on Japanese car imports as it wants better access to Japanese markets. So if there's no progress in those talks, we could potentially see heightened trade fears once again dampening market sentiment. In terms of economic data, we do have US producer prices coming up later today. They will be followed by USD inflation numbers. That's the consumer price index, which are due tomorrow. Let's now have a look at the euro and the pound. The euro had made a decent rebound, rising above the 1.16 level and holding there for a while before slipping back below it this morning. Though that rebound, we can see it's lacking momentum, with the 50 moving average in the 4-hour chart providing resistance there and reversing lower. So there are still concerns about the strength of the Eurozone economy. Recent data out of Germany this week hasn't been very positive. We also have concerns about the Italian government's budget plans, which could breach EU fiscal rules. So the euro is looking fragile, though at the moment is well off its lows when it had fallen close to the 1.15 level. Looking at sterling, though, it's very much bearish. We can see cable trading below its moving averages. So we've seen increasing risks of a no-deal Brexit pushing sterling to 11-month lows. It earlier hit 1.2840, and it looks like it will likely breach that low later today as well, as it's not looking anywhere near in terms of reversing higher. The UK government yesterday said that they will hold a cabinet meeting in September to discuss a no-deal scenario. So at the moment, it's not looking very good for the pound. And finally, having a look at the New Zealand dollar, we can see that big slump there earlier today when the Reserve Bank of New Zealand said that the next move in interest rates could be up or down, and that we shouldn't expect a rate hike until late 2020. Earlier forecasts by the bank were for rate hikes sometime in the first quarter. So this has pushed out those rate hike expectations further out into late 2020. They also lowered their growth forecast, and the governor Ed Orr said that he's very worried about the low business confidence, and he signaled that the bank will act if growth slows further. We can see the kiwi hitting near 2.5-year low of 0.6650. Looking at the rest of the day, we do have those US producers prices coming up later on, as well as the weekly jobless claims to watch out for. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.